I'm looking at the week of May 15 for the trial.
Stop it.
안녕하세요. 쇼킹TV 톰슨입니다. 시작하면서 보신 영상은 1급 살인 혐의, 사체 훼손 혐의, 3급 성폭행 혐의로 재판을 받기 전 사전 심리 때 갑자기 자신의 변호사를 공격한 피고의 모습입니다. 피고 여성은 24세의 테일러 샤비즈니스. 혐의들로 보셔서 아시겠지만 그는 피해자이자 남자친구인 샤드 티리온을 살해하고 시신을 절단하고 성폭행한 것으로 기소된 상태였습니다. 이번에 다룰 사건은 아마도 제가 다뤘던 사건 중 5손가락 안에 꼽을 만큼 잔인하고 충격적인 사건이 아닐까 하는 생각이 듭니다. 그래서 이번 사건은 스토리텔링 형식이 아닌 재판에서 공개된 증거물, 재판 영상을 중심으로 한 생생한 느낌으로 알아가보고자 합니다. 그럼 가장 먼저 이 사건이 시작된 2022년 2월 23일 수요일 새벽에 경찰국으로 걸려온 신고 전화를 먼저 들어보겠습니다.
County Public Safety, how may I help you?
Yes, I'd like an officer at 829 Stony Brook. My friend just woke me up and swears that she found her severed head of her son in the basement. My name's Steve.
What's your last name, Steve?
Hendricks.
Okay, tell me what's happening there again.
I have no clue what's happening. My girl swears that she's found her severed head of her son in the basement.
Did you go down there?
In a bucket. I went down, I can't tell what the fuck it is. Pardon my language, I'm kind of a little freaked out.
Okay, did she just wake up and say that?
Yeah.
And whose head is this?
She's claiming it's her son.
How old is her son?
24, 25?
Has he been missing, or?
No, yeah, he was here yesterday with some chick, and then all of a sudden nobody's here. And she came up to use the restroom a couple times, and she keeps calling and calling, and now she's saying that she hears the phone down there too.
Okay, is she with you right now?
Yes, she's upstairs. She's a little freaked out, and I don't know what to do.
Okay, alright, stay on line. And, you said you went down there, correct?
Yeah, and I lifted the toe, but I can't see very well, and I can't tell what the hell it is.
So there's something in the bucket.
There's something in the goddamn bucket there.
Okay. Do you think she's hallucinating, or do you think that...
I don't think so. I went down and there's something in the damn bucket.
What's your girlfriend's last name?
Tara, T-A-R-A.
Alright, can I talk to her?
Hello?
Hi, Tara. So can you tell me what's going on?
Are you positive my son's head is in a bucket?
What makes you think that?
Because I looked in the bucket.
What did you see?
Exactly what I told you.
Okay, where's the rest of the body at?
No idea.
When's the last time you saw your son?
Well, I guess today is Wednesday, so I picked him up from his dad on Monday. And because he doesn't normally stay here, he was going to stay here for a few days. I left the laundry. He was here a couple hours, then he left with Taylor. And they had some space. Taylor.
Who's that?
Girl. Taylor Coronado. He went to middle school and high school with her.
Okay.
I don't know if he does it with me.
When's the last time you saw him?
Well, he left with her. They both came back. I believe they both came back while we were sleeping Monday night. And I assume they slept all day yesterday, so I haven't seen him since Monday night physically. I thought they were sleeping all day. I was gone for a little while, and then I heard my door and her minivan start, and I went downstairs and I went to the bathroom. The lights were out in the basement. So I went and turned them off, and I looked around and there. So then when I turned around to come back upstairs, there was a 5-gallon bucket with a towel over it. And I'm like, oh great, that's why they were down here all day yesterday. They were pissing in a bucket. And I looked, and that is not what was in that bucket.
What is your son's name?
Sad Syrian?
Is there blood down there?
No.
Okay.
신고 전화를 한 사람은 스티브 헨드릭스입니다. 그리고 중간에 전화를 받고받은 사람은 테라 패키니지로 자신의 아들인 24세의 샤드 티리온의 머리가 지하의 양동이 안에 들어있다고 하였죠. 이들의 반응으로 봤을 때 교환원은 아무래도 헛것을 보고 신고 전화를 하고 있는 게 아닌가 하고 생각을 한 듯 싶습니다. 멀쩡하게 잘 지내고 있던 아들이 갑자기 집에서 머리가 잘린 채 양동이 안에서 발견되었다고 하니 쉽게 믿을 수 없었겠죠. 그리고 얼마 뒤 신고 전화를 받고 현장으로 출동한 2명의 경관은 입을 다물기 힘든 충격적인 광경을 마주하게 됩니다. 이들이 착용한 바디캠의 영상을 보도록 하겠습니다. 이 영상은 직접 바디캠을 장착한 경관이 재판의 증인으로 참석하였을 때 공개되었습니다. 잔인한 이미지가 나오지는 않지만 그러한 것들이 연상될 수 있으므로 보는 분에 따라 주의를 요합니다.
You mentioned observing the bucket. I guess where in the basement was that located?
As you go down the stairs, if you turn to the immediate right, it was at the bottom of the stairs to the right.
Was it in pretty close proximity to the stairs?
Yes.
After you made that observation, what did you do?
After I pulled the towel off,
Yes.
I had Officer Plunky come downstairs and just verify we had in fact found a human head in the bucket. And then we started to notify a supervisor and then ask for additional units.
And at that time, on February 23rd, 2022, did your department utilize body-worn cameras?
Yes.
Is that something that was operating on that day?
Yes.
And did you have the chance to review your body-worn camera prior to your testimony today?
Yes, I did.
If you were able to observe that here in court, would you be able to recognize it?
Yes, I'll be able to.
Okay.
Did you both see this?
I opened the towel, I picked up the towel and dropped it because I don't know what the fuck it is, man. I had bad vision and she's like, is that what I think? And I'm like, I don't fucking know what the fuck it is.
Do you want to stay with those two? I'll just go see it.
Yeah.
Where's it at?
So right there,
This
look right, there's a bucket with a towel on it.
Just keep that. Dude, it is.
What? Your wine's no longer, I'll look at it. Oh my fucking god, this.
Come here.
Okay, well,
Hold on 1 second.
jeez.
Let's just. Okay. Hold on. Just. That's what I know, right? That's what I love. Alcohol here. 4 Ed1 to 82 Sam. I know you're busy over there, but this is actually what it's going to be. It's not going to be a 961 thing or a 96 thing, so we're going to need more units here. If there's anybody supposed to be there. Was that for everyone? No, for right now. If we could get more units here sooner rather than later, that'd be appreciated. We've got quite a bit of blood down here. I want to clear this rest of this house. We've got 2 people in the house for sure.
For the record, the entirety of Exhibit 2, approximately 5 minutes 59 seconds, was played. Officer, having reviewed the exhibit, do you recognize the video that was depicted?
Yes, I do.
Does that appear to be consistent with your body-worn camera footage that you observed?
Yes, it is.
And does that appear to also be consistent with your recollection of the scene on Stony Brook Lane on February 23rd?
Correct.
I'd move Exhibit 2.
Any objection?
No objection.
The Exhibit 2 will be received.
So, Officer, I want to ask a few questions about that. When you arrived, which door to the residence did you enter through?
It would have been the side door off the driveway.
Okay. And was there a sort of a storm door that was a part of that door as well?
Yes, I believe so.
All right. After you observed the bucket, it appeared that you walked around the basement area of the residence. Is that right?
Yes, it did.
At that point, did you see any other parts of a human body?
No other parts of a human body, no.
Okay. Did you notice any areas of potential blood?
Yes.
And where was that?
Beyond the stack of mattresses, there appeared to be blood on the floor and then small chunks of human flesh.
Okay. In other areas of that basement, did you locate any obvious signs of blood?
There was a dried blood stain on the mattresses, and that was all that I remember seeing.
After you and Officer Plonky, was that the officer who was also depicted in that video?
Yes, it is.
Did other officers arrive on scene?
Yes.
And what did you and the other officers do at that point?
Sergeant Brester was next to arrive on scene. I kind of informed him of what we had up to this point and then what we needed to do next. We had 2 other officers responding. Once we got all the officers there that we needed, we conducted a protective sweep of the residence just to make sure there was no other people that we needed to know about, just to make sure that there was no other potential threats.
And you're the first officer to testify, so I'll ask you this because we've heard this term. What is a protective sweep?
It's not a search or anything like that. It's just conducting a sweep of the house just to make sure there's no other people hiding or no other threats.
So essentially a search for people?
Yeah.
Okay. Other than the towel that you lifted off the bucket, was any object moved or rummaged through by officers?
Not the initial responding officers, no.
Okay.
저걸 새벽에 혼자서 본 어머니는 얼마나 놀랐을지 가늠도 되지 않습니다. 그럼 이번에는 재판에 원고 측 증인으로 참석하여 증언한 신고자인 스티브 헨드릭스 씨를 보도록 하겠습니다. 아까 말씀드려서 아시겠지만 그는 피해자의 어머니인 테라 패키니치의 남자친구입니다. 그리고 이 재판에서 원고 측에 자리하여 신문하는 사람은 케일럽 사운더스 검사보와 데이빗 라시 검사입니다. 그리고 피고 측에 자리하여 피고인 테일러 샤비즈니스를 변호하는 사람은 크리스토퍼 프렐릭 변호사입니다.
My name is Stephen Hendricks.
Is it okay if I refer to you as Steve?
Yes,
Okay. Steve, how old are you?
50.
Okay. And where do you live?
Green Bay?
Okay. And does he still live on Stony Brook Lane?
Yes,
And that's in Green Bay. What area of Green Bay is that?
West Side.
All right. How long have you lived at Stony Brook Lane?
Almost 3 years.
And who do you live there with?
Tara,
And what's Tara's last name?
Packing
And are you in a relationship with Tara?
Yes,
All right. And how long has that been?
almost 3 years.
Okay. And that's, I guess, why you live at that house now?
Yeah.
Okay. Does anyone else live at that house?
Part-time Ava,
Okay. And
Her
who's,
daughter.
who's Ava?
Tara's daughter.
And she still a juvenile?
Yes,
Did Tara have any other children who, on occasion, would be at the house?
yes,
And who is that?
Shad.
And Shad, was that her son?
Yes,
And did he live there full-time, part-time? I guess, what was that arrangement?
it was partially when he wanted to eat, change, or do his laundry and whatnot.
And I guess looking in like February of 2022, by that point, was Shad an adult?
Yes,
So I want to ask you, Steve, about February 21st, 2022. It was a Monday. Do you recall the date I'm talking about?
yes,
And on that date, or were you still living at the Stony Brook Lane house with Tara?
yes,
On that date, did you have contact with Shad on that day?
yes.
Okay. And I guess what happened on the 21st?
Well, 21st during the day. It depends what you're referring to. There's several different occasions.
At some point, did you and Tara go to dinner?
Yes,
And who did you go to dinner with?
with Shad.
And do you remember where you went?
Courthouse Bar and Grill.
Is that also in Green Bay?
Yes, East Side.
Do you remember what time you would have gone to dinner?
It was during the day. 3 years, maybe. I'm not positive, but
Okay. And then were you there for a little bit of time?
yes.
Do you remember what you did after dinner was done?
I believe we went home.
And what time would that have been, if you remember?
I'm not positive. It's still light out.
All right. And you went home. Do you mean the Stony Brook Lane house?
Yes.
And what happened when you got back to that house?
I don't recall, but I remember Shad leaving. I'm not sure.
Did you see who Shad left with?
Yes,
And who was that?
that was Taylor.
And did you know who Taylor was prior to that day?
I met her several times.
And I guess, how did you meet her? I guess, what was that?
Through Shad.
Would she come over to the house?
Well, there was only one time prior that she was at the house, but they weren't in the house.
So it was just sort of in passing you had contact
Well,
with Taylor?
yes, I pulled in a driveway and they were trying to break into the house.
So you had known Taylor prior to February 21st?
Just that one occasion.
And They left the Stony Brook house, is that right?
Yes.
Did you see how they left the house?
No, I did not.
Was Shad driving at that time?
I don't believe so. His truck was in the pound.
All right, so he didn't have a vehicle?
No, not at the time.
And I know it's a while ago. Do you remember what time they would have left the house?
Not exactly.
By that point, was it dark out or still light?
I believe it was still light out.
All right. And at any point that night, did Shad return to the home?
About 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning, somewhere around there.
So 1 or 2 in the morning, would that have been then into the morning of the 22nd?
Sure.
All right. And what happened when Shad got home in the morning?
He rang the doorbell 6, 7 times in a row. That's his little key. Yes.
And did you open the door for him?
Yes.
What door did they enter through?
We only use the back door of our place because that's where the driveway is. So that's the only door we use.
So the door that sort of is next to the
It's on
driveway?
the side. It's on the side of the house, yes.
All right. Do you use the front door?
No, not really.
Okay. Is that kind of
It's
locked
kind of
usually?
blocked. It's kind of blocked off. We have junk in front of it.
So is it that, whenever people are entering or leaving
It's
that
always
home?
it's always back side door.
Okay. And so Shad kind of rings the doorbell 6, 7 times, you said, is that right?
Yeah.
Was anyone with him?
Yes.
Who?
Taylor.
And did you see how they had arrived at the home?
No, I did not. I just opened the door.
And what happened when you opened the door for them?
They came in and went right downstairs.
In that time, in that 1 or 2 a.m. on the 22nd there, did you notice anything out of the ordinary behavior-wise with either Shad or Taylor?
No.
Had you previously had contact with Taylor, right?
Yes.
Anything different from that time versus the prior times you met with her?
No.
When she came over earlier in the day to pick up Shad, did you have contact with Taylor then?
Yes, she came in the house.
Sort of asked the same questions. Was there any kind of odd behaviors that you were observing?
No.
So then when Taylor and Shad then go into the basement, how do you get to the basement from that door, that storm door?
Straight down the steps.
So it's
Right by the door. The door continues to go down. If you take a left right at the top, you'll go into the kitchen. But if you go straight down, it goes to the basement.
So they go right down there. What do you do?
I went back upstairs. I went back to bed.
So I want to ask a few questions then about the layout of the home.
Okay.
So the area that you're talking about, the door, is that on the main level?
Yes.
Are there any bedrooms on that level of the home?
Yes.
And who is using those bedrooms?
One of them is just an empty room, an empty bed that Shad keeps his stuff in, and then Ava's room.
Okay.
That's on the main level.
Your room and Tara's room, I should ask first, do you share a room?
Yes, it's
And
on the
where's-
second floor.
Okay, that's on the second floor. Are
Yes.
there any other rooms on the second floor of the home?
No, it's just a long hall, closet space, and then a bedroom.
So after they go to the basement that morning, you go back up to the to your room?
Second floor, yes.
All right. And do you go back to sleep?
I'm not sure. Pretty sure.
Okay. After that point, do you have any other contact with Shad?
No, it was the last time I seen him.
And that was 1 or 2 a.m. on the 22nd?
Yes.
What about Taylor? Had you had any contact with Taylor after that point?
At one point, I was in the kitchen, and she had come upstairs, and I borrowed her a pair of reading glasses.
Do you remember when that was?
It was about 9:30 a.m.
Is it the same day that you're talking about?
Yes.
Would that be the 22nd?
The 22nd, yes.
So you're in the kitchen about 9:30 in the morning, and Taylor comes in the kitchen?
Yeah,
And I guess the kitchen, is that right off of those stairs?
it's right off the stairs, yes.
And I guess what happens when Taylor comes into the kitchen there?
Nothing. She asked if I had a pair of glasses. I had a pair. I wear readers, and I buy them by the case because I lose everything.
And then I guess, Did you take those classes?
Yeah,
Okay, I guess were they like what kind of classes were they?
they're just black glasses, black frame, readers. They're just cheaters.
But like a black, is it like a thicker frame?
No, not really.
But just like more than a wire frame?
Yeah, let's just they're black plastic, but they're not like super thick.
And during that time you had contact with Taylor there, did you notice anything out of the ordinary?
No,
Any sort of odd behaviors or anything like that?
not that I was aware of.
So then the rest of that day, the 22nd there, what are you doing throughout that day?
Arguing with Tara.
Okay. So you had a little bit of an argument throughout the day?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay. Did you leave the home at any point?
Yes, I did.
And I guess at any point during that day, do you go into the basement?
No.
All right. And you left the residence. How long after that 9:30 a.m. time do you think you left the home?
It wasn't far after that, about 40 minutes after that, maybe.
And then how long were you gone for?
About 6 hours.
So you got back to the home sometime in the late afternoon?
Probably, yeah. That's it.
And when you got home, I guess, what is that evening like?
I really couldn't say. I was out drinking and I came home and passed out.
Okay. Anything, out of the ordinary that you remember seeing?
No.
Okay. Still aren't going in the basement at any point?
No.
I then want to ask about the following, I guess, morning time. Do you remember anything happening of note in that early morning of the 23rd?
Except for when I was woken up, you mean? Other than that?
Yeah, so were you woken up on that time?
I was woken up, yes.
And can you tell me what happened with that?
Tara had woken me up and said she thinks she found Chad, her son's, that's how she put it, I found my son's head in a bucket. So I'm dumbfounded. Didn't believe her. Thought she was having a mental issue or something.
Sure. So do you remember what time this would have been?
Had to be about between 2 and 3 in the morning. I know it was the middle of the night.
And you said you were woken up. Were you sleeping in that room up in the second floor?
Yes.
And Tara had woken you up?
Yes, after she heard her door slam.
Is that something you heard, or that's information Tara's telling
I
you?
don't recall if I heard it, but I know that I woke up a little bit when she got up.
And at some point she comes back and tells you
Yes.
some information?
Yes.
What do you do then?
I go downstairs and see what the hell she's talking about, and I can't see anything, so we go back upstairs and contemplate what the heck to do.
So I guess what do you do specifically when you go downstairs?
I went to the basement and observed a bucket that she said, but I don't know, my mind blocked it out. All I seen was like hair, like an animal or something. I didn't know what the heck.
The bucket that you remember seeing, is that typically located right next to the stairs there?
No, it just happened to be there that day.
So after you see that stuff in the basement, contemplate what to do, I think you said?
Yeah, we go back up to the second floor bedroom, and I called the police station, and it took me a while to get through. I didn't call 911 because I wasn't sure what was going on yet at this point.
If, it's a ways away, but if you can remember, from when you kind of remember getting woke up when Tara got up to the time you call the police, are you able to approximate how long a time we're talking about?
Within 30 minutes, I can't really say exactly, but it was within 30 minutes. I mean, she woke me up, went downstairs, went back upstairs, and then it took me about 10 minutes to get through because I didn't call 911, I called the police department.
You got through to a dispatcher at some point?
Yes.
So after that point, did officers arrive at your home?
Yes, 2 uniformed officers.
Did you speak with them about sort of what you observed?
Yeah.
And did you go down to the police department then and speak further with officers?
Well, they had us put our phones on the table and then waited for, I think they escorted us to the Green Bay Police Department at that time.
Thank you, Steve. Nothing further, Your Honor.
Mr. Hendricks, good morning.
Good morning.
Shad Therian is the son of your girlfriend, Tara Pakinich, correct?
Yes.
He's not your son, right?
Right.
And he wasn't living at the 829 Stony Brook Lane property in February of 2022, was he?
No.
He lived with his father, Michael Therian, correct?
Correct.
He would come over to the residence on Stony Brook to eat, take a shower, do laundry, things like that,
Sure.
and to come and visit you and Tara, his mom?
Well, more Tara.
Okay. All right. But you knew him, right?
Yes.
You had only met Taylor 샤비즈니스의 one time before?
Prior to that, yes.
Okay. And that was a brief meeting, is that correct?
Yes.
And sir, was it your understanding that Taylor 샤비즈니스 went to high school and maybe middle school with Shad Therian?
That was my understanding.
And that they went to high school at Bayport together, correct?
I understood that, yeah.
Okay. The last time you saw Shad Therian was when?
About 2 o'clock in the morning on Monday night, going into Tuesday.
February 21st of 2022?
22nd, it was one of them.
Okay. On that Monday?
I believe so, Monday.
And was it, sir, was it your testimony that you went to the courthouse bar and grill in Green Bay with your girlfriend Tara Pakinich and then with Shad Therian?
Yes.
Okay. You had some dinner there, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Appetizers.
Okay. Some drinks?
Yep.
And then you came back home to Stony Brook?
Yes.
And then at some point did Shad leave the residence then?
Yes.
Do you know what time?
Not exactly. It's still light out.
Okay. Was it your understanding that Shad was picked up by someone?
Yes.
Who was that?
Taylor.
Okay. So she picked him up and they left together?
Yes.
Was anybody else with him?
Not that I know of, no.
Okay. And then you didn't see him again?
Not till late that night.
On February 22nd of 2022?
Yeah, I think that's what it would be, 22nd by then, because it was after midnight. Yeah.
Okay. So you heard some pounding on the side door?
No, I heard the doorbell ring 6 times.
Okay. That's kind of his clue to be let in, correct?
Yeah, it's key.
And so then you came down and you opened the door?
Yes.
And is it your testimony that Taylor 샤비즈니스 and Shad Therian then went right down the basement?
Yes.
And you were tired, so you went back upstairs to bed, right?
I went upstairs, yes.
Okay. You remember when the police came to your house on February 23rd of 2022, correct?
Yes.
You were waiting for them, correct?
Yes.
You're the one that actually called 911?
Yeah, I didn't call 911, I called the police department.
Okay, you called the Green Bay Police Department, non-emergency line?
Non-emergency line, yes.
Okay. And then you asked to have someone come over?
Yep.
And then do you recall meeting with an officer or officers at the door?
Yes, 2 officers.
And that's at that side door, correct?
Correct.
And the side door to the house is like right by the driveway, correct?
Correct.
Now, on this particular night, there were vehicles in the driveway, correct?
Correct.
Whose vehicles were they, sir?
Tara's and mine.
Okay. What kind of car do you have?
I have a Forester.
Okay. And Tara?
She has a Volkswagen.
Okay. And they were parked like off the side door in the driveway?
Yes, in the driveway, yes.
Any other vehicles in the driveway?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Okay. And then you talked to the officers, correct?
Yes.
And you told them what you knew, or is that correct?
Yes, and then they went down and took a look themselves.
Okay. they went down in the basement?
Yep.
And where did you go?
I sat at the table where they told us not to move.
Okay, and you followed directions, correct?
Yes.
And where was Tara Pakinich? Was she sitting
right
at the
next
table?
to me.
Okay.
Yes.
And when did Ava Wheelock get up?
I didn't even know she was there at the time, and right around the time they came over, I didn't realize she was even there yet.
Okay. Did she come and sit at the kitchen table as well?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have issues with your vision?
A little bit.
If you don't have glasses on, do you have a hard time seeing?
Yes.
Okay. Glasses help, right?
Yeah, for reading, yes.
Okay, sure. If you don't have the glasses on, is it difficult to see real far?
No.
Okay. Can you see, are you nearsighted or farsighted?
I'm just getting old.
Okay. But as far as you can see, can you give me like a distance?
Just words are blurry. Other than that, I can see you just fine.
Okay. And on this particular night, February 23rd of 2022, when you went down the stairs, sir,
Yeah.
you didn't have any cheaters or glasses, right?
No.
Everything was kind of blurry?
Yeah.
And you thought that maybe Tara Pakinich was seeing things, is that correct?
Having mental issues, I don't know if she was hallucinating or anything like that. It's just I got woke up out of dead sleep, and I'm tripping out now.
You were pretty stressed out, fair?
Well, yeah. She wakes me up crying, telling me she found her son's head in a bucket. Yeah, a little disturbing.
When you were when she was trying to wake you up, were you in a dead sleep?
Not really. I mean, I was sleeping, but I was aware that I needed to get up.
And is it your testimony that when you looked in the bucket, you couldn't tell what it was, correct?
Correct.
And after you and Tara Pakinich talked, did you talk in the kitchen? You know, after you went to the basement and you came back up, and did you talk with her in the kitchen?
We went back up to the bedroom. That's where my phone was.
Oh, okay. And then you kind of contemplated on what to do?
Yeah.
You didn't know if you should call 911 or
I
not?
didn't know whether to call 911 or I just called the police department because I didn't want them screaming in sirens and all that crap.
Okay. All right. How long after you made that call did it take for the police officers to get there?
It was late at night, probably 10 minutes, not even.
Okay. Did anybody move the bucket at all?
No.
Did you move the bucket?
Nope.
이번에는 헨드릭스와 그 자리에 함께 있었던 테라의 증언을 들어보겠습니다. 원고 측과 질답한 영상과 음성은 법원의 요청으로 비공개 처리되었기 때문에 자기소개 부분만 듣고 바로 피고 측과 질답하는 부분으로 넘어가겠습니다.
Tara Pakinich.
Sarah, if you don't mind me asking, how old are you?
49.
All right. And where do you live?
On Stony Brook Landing.
You are Tara Pakinich?
I am.
You've been involved in a relationship with Stephen Hendricks for how long, ma'am?
Approximately 3 years.
And you live together at 829 Stony Brook Lane in Green Bay?
We do?
That's over by Fireman's Park area, right?
Yes.
With regards to Stephen, does he wear cheater glasses?
He does.
Does he sometimes have issues with missing his glasses or losing his glasses?
He does. I order 5 pair at a time.
Okay. Does he have difficulty seeing if he doesn't have his glasses?
Yes.
With regards to this case, you talked to police detectives, correct?
Correct.
And you talked to Detective Groff, who's here, correct?
Yes.
You told him everything that you knew about this situation, correct?
Yes.
With regards to this home, you own the home?
I do.
And is it, it's got a basement, a ground level, and then an upstairs, correct?
Yes.
Would it be fair to say that it's kind of like 3 levels, so to speak?
So to speak.
Okay. Your bedroom and Stephen's bedroom is upstairs, correct?
Yes.
Is there a bathroom up there?
No.
on the ground level?
The ground level there is.
Okay, and there's also is there a kitchen there?
Kitchen, living room, and 2 bedrooms.
Okay, and you have a daughter, Ava Wheelock, correct?
Correct.
When this was all going on, she was 16, correct?
Yes.
Is she still 16?
No.
Okay, 17 now?
Yes.
Okay, and she was sleeping in the residence when the police came on February 23rd of 2022, correct?
Correct.
You and Mr. Hendricks have vehicles, correct?
Yes.
What kind of vehicle do you have, ma'am?
I have a Volkswagen.
Is it an SUV or what kind is it?
No, it's a Volkswagen Jetta.
Jetta? Okay. And what kind of vehicle does Mr. Hendricks have?
A Subaru Forester.
And do you typically park them in the driveway?
Yes.
At your house, if you're standing in the street looking at your house, there's kind of a long driveway and then there's a garage that's detached, is that correct?
Yes.
Then there's the house. Your house is kind of like a Cape Cod style, correct?
Yes.
And then you have a backyard, is that fair?
We do have a backyard.
On February 23rd of 2022, when the Green Bay police officers came there to talk to you, is it fair to say that the only 2 vehicles that were in the driveway were the Subaru Forester belonging to Stephen and the VW Jetta belonging to you?
No.
What
When
other
I
vehi-
watched the video earlier, Ava's Toyota RAV4 was in the driveway.
Okay, she has her own car?
She does.
Okay. So there's basically 3 vehicles, correct?
Correct.
And they're all kind of parked in line on that driveway?
Right.
Okay. Did you see any gold minivan parked in your driveway on February 23rd of 2022?
No.
Okay. When the front door to your house, you don't really use that, correct?
Correct.
The main entrance is the side door off the driveway?
Correct.
Okay. Do you have curtains in the front of your house?
I do.
Okay. And on the front door as well?
I do.
With regards to the bucket that was in the basement, you went down to the basement to bring the cat down there?
Earlier in the evening, yes.
Okay. And then you went back down there because you heard the door slam?
Correct. To see if Shad was still home.
Okay.
If he was not, to turn off the lights and
Because
lock the door.
the lights were left on in the basement, right?
Correct.
And you didn't see anybody downstairs, correct? When you went down there? Okay.
No, I did not.
And as you're going up the stairs, then you saw this bucket?
Right.
Okay. And was there anything over the bucket?
What?
Was there anything over the bucket?
There was a towel over the bucket.
Was it like a beach towel or something?
It was just a regular towel you would shower with.
Okay. And were you concerned that your son or his friends were peeing in that bucket?
It was a possibility. I didn't know why the bucket was there.
Okay.
Normally isn't there.
And,
And it was covered.
okay. And you kind of came upon the bucket, happenstance kind of, right?
Right.
So then you took the towel off?
I did.
And how long did you look in the bucket?
See, that
Seconds?
I don't know. Seconds, probably.
Okay. Did you put the towel back then?
And I put the towel back, yes.
Then what did you do? Did you go up the steps?
Yes.
And then did you go all the way up to your bedroom to tell Stephen Hendricks, your boyfriend?
I did.
Okay. And then he woke up?
Correct.
And then did you ask him to come downstairs and check this out?
Yes.
And he was woken out of a dead sleep, is that correct?
Correct.
And we're talking about the time frame here is February 23rd of 2022, that Wednesday, right?
It was after midnight, so it would have been the 23rd.
Okay. And so then did you walk with Mr. Hendricks all the way down into the basement again?
I did.
Okay. And then what did you see Mr. Hendricks do?
I I asked him to look in the bucket to verify. He moved the towel up to look in the bucket, but he was unsure of what he was seeing.
Okay. So then, did the both of you then go back upstairs?
We did.
And did you go all the way up to your bedroom again?
Yes. That is where our phones were located.
Is that where you decided, you talked and you decided what to do?
Right.
Is it fair to say that you didn't know if you should call the police department non-emergency line or if you should call 911? Is that fair?
Right.
So you talked for a while?
Briefly,
How long do you think?
a minute and a half.
Could it have been 10 minutes or not?
I don't think it would take that long to make that decision.
Okay. But both of you were confused and upset.
Well, we had a call. I was probably in shock.
So then your boyfriend, Stephen Hendricks, made the call to 911 at some point?
To the non-emergency number, yes.
Okay. And then you waited for the police officers to arrive, is that right?
Yes. In our kitchen, we waited.
You let him, and then you let him in the side door, correct?
Correct.
The officers came in and had you sit at the table in the kitchen?
Yes.
Did you look in the bucket only one time?
I believe I looked in the bucket again when Steve looked in the bucket.
Was he in front of you?
It's next to me.
Okay.
I don't remember that detail.
Sure. Now, in February of 2022, your son, Shad Therian, was living with his father, Michael Therian?
Correct.
And your son would come to your house to eat sometimes, correct?
To eat, hang out with his sister, me.
Do some laundry?
What?
Do some laundry, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And would you have to tell him to take a shower?
I don't know that I had to tell him, but he'd shower there.
Were you worried that he didn't always take care of himself?
Yes.
When you heard the storm door slam, when you heard the door slam, did you see anybody go outside?
No.
Did you see anybody drive away?
No.
Did anybody come upstairs by you and Stephen on February 23rd of 2022?
No.
Did Ava get up at all and go downstairs or come upstairs by you on February 23rd of 2022?
Ava's room is on the main level of the house.
Yep.
She was woken up after the police were already at the house. She never went into the basement.
Okay. When the police officers arrived at your house on February 23rd, you didn't go back downstairs, correct?
I did not.
The officers had you stay by the kitchen table, correct?
Correct.
And then at some point, is it fair to say that the officers had you, Stephen, and Ava all go down to the police department to give a statement or at least talk about things?
That is correct.
In your neighborhood, ma'am, the houses are kind of close together. Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay. Do people park on the street sometimes?
Occasionally.
Overnight sometimes?
They do. Probably not in the winter.
Okay.
With snowplows.
Is your street, is it busy with people coming and going?
No, it is not. You probably don't drive down my street unless you live on it.
on February 22nd of 2022, when you and Stephen had a little bit of an argument. That was on that Tuesday.
In the morning.
Okay. He left and went to a bar.
He did.
Was he drinking all day?
I wasn't with him,
Did
but
he-
he was at a bar, so
When he came back, had he told you that he had some drinks?
he did.
Okay. Do you know what time he got back?
I do not. It was still light out. In
Did-
February, that's got to be 5 o'clock or something.
What time did you go to bed on February 22nd, that Tuesday? Do you remember?
I do not.
What time do you typically go to bed?
11.
Okay.
Or we were watching TV in our room, so I don't know if we were actually sleeping. I don't know.
Okay. And you have one cat,
One cat.
and the cat usually, does it stay downstairs or does it come
The
upstairs?
cat goes through the entire house, but
Free-
the litter boxes are in the basement.
Okay, it's got free reign of the house, huh? Did you hear any talking on either Tuesday, February 22nd, or Wednesday, February 23rd, prior to that storm door, slamming?
I did not.
If you were upstairs in your bedroom, would it be fair to say that it would be difficult to hear anything going on downstairs or hear a conversation downstairs?
I would not be able to hear anything in the basement, no.
Okay. All right. Nothing further. Thank you.
이들의 증언을 종합해보면 새벽에 바람막이 문이 쾅 하고 닫히는 소리에 테라가 먼저 잠에서 깨어났고 그 뒤에 경찰에 신고하고 모든 상황이 진행되었던 것으로 알 수 있습니다. 테일러는 계속해서 지하실에 샤드와 함께 있었고 말이죠. 경찰은 그녀를 강력한 용의자로 판단한 뒤 테일러의 집으로 몇 명의 경관을 파견합니다. 이번 영상도 마찬가지로 바디캠을 장착한 경관이 재판의 증인으로 참석하였을 때 공개되었습니다. 그의 증언과 함께 들어보겠습니다.
Please nobody, please go. Nothing. Hey. Is this blood? Does this look like blood to you? Or am I just tripping? Bloody footprint? You see this right here?
Could possibly be blood.
Footprints on the path.
Hey, who did that? Hi, Taylor. How's it going? Officer Russell with the Green Bay Police Department. Just make sure you ain't got nothing on you here. With Taylor. Taylor, you have one more for your wrist. Just put your hands behind your back, quick.
Anybody else in your apartment?
You got blood on your hands here too. No, on your hands. Okay, yeah, we're gonna have to.
What apartment is it?
What apartment are you in?
Do you have it? Adam, please come up. You got some there, get up here.
On the double.
Which apartment?
One is what they came back to.
Here.
Yeah, go. Guys, hurry and get here now.
Start at the window right to your right.
Watch this window right here. Gun.
This back.
Go in here. Come to the back of the apartment. That's where we are. You come over here. 2 more will be fine. If 84 is here, you have contact with the male.
Hands up! Walk out towards me!
Have a seat.
All the
Have a
traffic,
seat.
all the traffic. Out towards me! Get out of the warehouse!
Who else is in the apartment? Be straight up. Tomes?
Hands up!
Who else? Just Tomes? Is he armed?
Look out!
Nobody's armed?
Nobody's armed.
You sure?
I'm sure.
Green Road Police! Is anybody get here? Announce yourself now!
Go ahead. Negative, we got enough here.
Okay, and for the record, 4 minutes of that exhibit, actually the entirety of that exhibit was played into the record. Officer, having reviewed that video, do you recognize the video that was depicted?
Yes.
Was that consistent with the body camera worn footage that you were wearing on February 23rd?
Yes.
I'd move Exhibit 81.
Any objection? No.
Received. So I want to ask just a few questions then, Officer. There's an earlier part in the clip where you had noted some area of suspected blood. Is that right?
That's right.
And what do you recall observing?
It looked like a couple of drops of blood in front of the vehicle, along with a footprint that was within, or that encompassed one of the drops.
And I guess was that pointed out to other officers who were on scene?
Yes.
You mentioned then the lights of the vehicle were activated and sort of flash. Is that right?
Yes.
And then about 10 seconds later, Mr. Business exited the apartment?
Yes.
At the end of the video, where were you walking Mr. Business to?
I was walking her to my patrol car.
And was she, I guess, put in the back of the squad car?
Yes, she was.
Was there any further questioning or anything done at that point?
The only question I asked Ms. Shabizz was if she knew why we were there.
Okay. And then did you ultimately just transport her then to the Green Bay Police Department?
Yes.
When you got to the Green Bay Police Department, what further steps did you take?
We placed her in interview room 3, I believe, where I had Officer Kenny assist me with taking photographs of what looked like smeared blood on her hands and on her clothing. I also had her remove the sweatshirt that had what appeared to be blood on it, as well as her socks and her shoes.
And then was another officer requested to assist with the further removal of some clothing?
I believe after I left the room, there was another officer that might have been asked to assist with the removal of some additional clothing so that Ms. Shabizz could get temporary clothing because we wanted all her clothes as evidence.
The clothing items that you took, did those stay within your custody and control?
Yes.
And did you subsequently enter them into evidence at the Green Bay Police Department?
I did.
I guess in totality on February 23rd, in your interactions with Ms. Shabizz, did you ask sometimes some questions of her?
I didn't ask questions of her. I more like commands like, hey, please remove your jacket, please remove your hat, let me get your shoes, sit here, just commands, not really questions.
The commands that, or requests that you were giving Ms. Shabizz, was she in that time following those?
Yes, she was.
Was she, in some instances, responding appropriately?
Yes, she was.
In the context of your questions and commands?
Yes, she was.
For instance, did you ask if there was anyone else in the residence at that point?
I did ask her.
Did she provide a response?
She did.
And was there a person located in the apartment?
Yes, there was.
Thank you, officer. I have nothing further.
Cross-examination, Mr. Freilich.
Thank you. Officer Russell, good morning.
Good morning.
So you were asked to go directly to 2353 Eastman Avenue on February 23rd of 2022, correct?
Yes.
Who asked you to go over there?
I was dispatcher, and Sergeant Brister also instructed me to go there.
Sergeant Brester?
Yes.
Okay, did you go by yourself?
Several other officers were sent to the location.
And what was the purpose of you going over there?
The purpose of me going over there was to relieve deputies that were on scene, along with assist with the overall incident.
Were you going over there to look at a vehicle or talk to people or what? Do you know?
I was tasked, me and other officers were tasked with locating a person who was last seen with the victim, as well as looking at the vehicle as I described earlier.
Okay. So you were asked to go and see if you could make contact with Taylor Shabizis?
Correct.
Have you been involved in death scene or homicide scene investigations prior to this particular situation?
Yes.
증언을 들어보신 것처럼 경관에게 체포되어 신문실로 온 테일러는 임시 옷으로 갈아입고 인터뷰를 하였습니다. 약 1시간 30분 정도 진행되었는데 모든 내용을 있는 그대로 밝혔기 때문에 그리 길게 이어지진 않았죠. 하지만 여러분이 통째로 보기엔 조금 지루한 면이 있을 수 있기 때문에 그녀가 밝힌 범행 당시 상황을 묘사하는 부분만 보고 넘어가도록 하겠습니다. 그리고 이 진술은 나중에 여러분께서 보실 현장 증거를 공개하는 재판 장면과 연관되니 잘 기억하고 계시면 그 상황에 도움이 될 듯합니다. 묘사가 다소 잔인하고 충격적일 수 있으니 보는 분에 따라 주의를 요합니다.
Is that also when you used the dildo?
Yeah.
Did you have sex with his body at all? At any point or any type of sexual contact? You know, obviously the dildo and stuff, but...
I grinded on him, I put the dick in his ass.
You grinded on?
Yeah, and listening.
Did you ever put his penis in your vagina? Okay, you just grind on him?
Did you see before that you performed a roll on him?
Yeah.
Okay, and that was after he was dead?
Yeah. And then he got happy. He was like half hard while I was still sucking while he was dead. Yeah.
Okay. And was that part of playing with him, or?
That is part of playing with him.
That was part of playing with him. Did you?
Actually, I was severing his head while I was doing that too with him.
It wasn't only a couple hours before you severed his head?
Probably, yeah.
Did you fall asleep at any point in time, or?
No.
So how long do you think you were in that basement? Because you didn't leave until like 3 or 4 this morning, right? But what about during the day? What did you do during the day?
I don't know, like I was kind of like dozing off, like nodding out.
He was dead already?
He was dead.
Was his head still on?
No, I took that off. That was the first thing I took off.
Okay.
I don't want to look at it.
What about the rest of his body?
I didn't even take it. And then, the rest of his body, it's like on the fucking, I don't even know what it is. It's in a big blue container, you know? And it's big.
Container?
It's like a big Tupperware. It's not Tupperware, but it's a Tupperware container, like a
big storage tank?
Yeah, one of those. And then,
So that's where body parts are in? Or I thought they were in a black bag.
they are. They're scattered around.
Okay, so both probably. But when did you start, cutting up his body?
I don't know, like almost right away. I was sucking and cutting at the same time.
Okay. But what about the rest of his body parts? Did that take all day to do?
I was getting pissed off at the dismemberment process, actually.
Did it take a while?
It took a while.
Yeah, because like I was nodding out. I was nodding out. So
Okay, so you're kind of sleeping, kind of nodding in and out. Have you taken any other drugs?
I should have took drugs. I probably would have helped, but I didn't. And I just sat there. Yeah.
Do you remember it being daylight at all? When you were-
Yeah, when I looked at the window and I seen the daylight.
And was his body together still then? Or?
Body was never together. It's just like, I had fun with him for that 2 hours and then boom.
So, but it took a while to cut the rest of the body up? Okay.
All messed up too.
So, I'm just trying to, so I understand two rules. So you said were you cutting and then you cut a knot off, kind of wake up and start cutting again?
Yeah.
So it took you a little while to cut the body apart. There were times where you went on napped or whatever. It wasn't, you didn't work nonstop to dismember his body, right?
I mean, I probably did. Well, in my sleep, I do things in my
You
sleep.
do things in your sleep.
But yeah, but like, that's probably it right there.
Did anybody ever come downstairs at all?
Tara came down. She came downstairs and then with the kitty cat, and then she set the kitty cat down. And, flipped over the kitty cat, and then the kitty cat was walking around. And I threw the kitty cat, and then yeah.
Did you talk to her?
I'm like, hey Tara. I don't know, it's just weird. Cause like it was an open space, you know, like there was no closed door, and like it was weird.
Did she think she saw anything?
I have no idea. I have to ask her.
So you think she came down at one point and dropped the kitty cat off downstairs in the basement?
Yeah.
Nice.
How long was she in the basement? Just shortly to drop the cat, or?
Yeah, she just came down there, dropped the cat off, to go use the kitty litter, the box, and then she went right back upstairs.
So then, throughout this process, you would cut off a body part with one of the knives, and you would put it in the bag or the tote or something like that?
Yeah, I was still tweaking out, so like, I'm over here cutting it, and then I'm like, wow, it's gonna go. So I got another one, and then I was cutting it, and it was gonna go. And I was tweaking, so like, I'm like, oh shoot. I've done that. I didn't mean for all this to happen, and I'm like, I fucked up, I know I fucked up, and I'm like, shit. Yeah, I'm sorry. That's what happened.
Well, you know, it's feelings, got a mom and a sister and a dad and family, and more than being sorry, you know. You killed them.
You gotta tell the sister sorry. Didn't mean for that to happen.
You didn't mean to kill him?
I
But you didn't try to help him?
No, I didn't. No. It works both ways. Like, I have no idea. Like,
You was gonna
gotta
die.
be tugging the chain.
Right, you knew he was gonna die, so.
I mean, I didn't, but at the same time, I woke up like, fuck, that's bad. I didn't know what to do, cause like, he was gonna be like, ah, like, fuck, I didn't know. You know what I mean? Cause like, I don't know.
But you liked it?
I liked it. Like, I'm like, fuck, like, it was, like, I didn't know what to do, but like, oh, I liked it though.
Well, you knew that you didn't want to call the police or ambulance or anything, so.
Actually, I thought about it. And then, I was getting angry at myself.
Mm-hmm.
Very angry at myself because I didn't have the proper tools.
Yeah.
Sucks not having that.
Was it sexually exciting to you when you were choking Chad?
Oh, yeah. Very.
Was it exciting when you were sucking on his penis after he was dead?
It was very exciting. Everything was, we should check on my panties. Boom.
지금 보신 것처럼 테일러는 웃으면서 당시 상황을 묘사하고 있습니다. 그렇다면 둘 중 하나겠군요. 약을 했거나 정신병자라는 것이죠. 하지만 중간에 약을 하지 않았다고 한 것을 보니 정신병자에 가깝다는 생각을 해볼 수 있겠네요. 그리고 그녀가 한 말을 보면 목을 자른 것뿐만 아니라 온몸을 절단했었다고 생각해 볼 수 있는데요. 얼마 뒤 현장과 이곳저곳에서 발견된 피해자인 샤드 티리온의 유해들은 범행이 얼마나 끔찍하고 충격적이었는지 미뤄볼 수 있습니다. 그럼 이번에는 현장 수색 책임을 맡았던 필립 스캔런 형사가 증인으로 참석하여 증언하는 모습을 여러 증거들과 함께 보도록 하겠습니다. 잔인한 부분은 판사의 재량껏 필터링 되었지만 그래도 잔인하게 느낄 만한 요소가 있으니 보는 분에 따라 주의를 요합니다.
Detective Scanlon, can you tell the jury how you are employed?
As a law enforcement officer of the City of Green Bay Police Department.
What is your current role with the City of Green Bay?
I am currently assigned as a detective in the Bureau of Detectives.
How long have you been with the Green Bay Police Department?
24 years.
Do you have any law enforcement experience prior to the Green Bay Police Department?
I was a sheriff's deputy for 1 year prior to that in Outagamie County.
Could you talk a little bit about any training or educational experience that you have that led you to be a law enforcement officer?
Well, I have a high school diploma. I have a bachelor's degree in criminal justice. I was certified in the state of Wisconsin through the Law Enforcement Academy, and then got hired in Outagamie as a sheriff's deputy in Outagamie County, where I went through a field training program. Then transferred to the Green Bay Police Department in 1999, where I again went through another 14-week field training program, maybe a bit longer than that, and then your standard classes and yearly in-services. Then went into the Drug Task Force 2010, where I received more training in narcotics investigations and violations of controlled substances, and then went into the Bureau of Detectives in 2014, where I was trained in more serious crimes, investigating deaths, persons and property crimes.
And is this now Exhibit 29 on the screen?
It is.
And what is shown in Exhibit 29?
This is from the north wall looking back towards the front, I guess the right side of the bed, the east side of the bed, with the depicting primarily the black and pink Under Armour backpack, which we refer to as container number 3.
And Exhibit 30, is that now depicted on the screen?
It is.
What is Exhibit 30?
Essentially a close-up of that backpack, container number 3.
And Detective, did you, along with the medical investigators, open that backpack?
We did.
And what was found inside there?
Inside this backpack, there's human remains, including small parts of remains and a larger part of human remains, some of which were laying loose inside the backpack, some of which were wrapped inside of like a plastic shopping bag.
And Exhibit 31, is that now depicted on the screen?
It is.
And what is shown in Exhibit 31?
There's a lot of things on here that this photo captured. It captured container number 2, which is the blue backpack. It captured some Clorox wipes that we found pertinent to this investigation, along with a Shelt bottle, which covered a chain. It captured what I recognized to be a methamphetamine pipe, a crystal meth pipe, just in front of the Clorox Beach bottle. And then to the right of that is what I would refer to as a gem baggie, that had a substance in it.
And you indicated that you spent 4 years in the Drug Task Force?
I did.
Through your training and experience both in the Drug Task Force and subsequently with the investigative division, have you had an opportunity to come into contact with methamphetamine?
I did.
And you're familiar with not only the drug itself, but also the items that are used to ingest it?
I am.
And you believed, based on that training experience, that was a pipe consistent with meth use and a gem baggie consistent with a small amount of methamphetamine?
That's correct.
Were those items collected?
They were.
Were they later field tested?
I later did, yes.
And what was the result?
So I removed the contents of the substance in the green gem baggie that's depicted here. It was approximately 0.21 grams of crystal substance that I recognized to be crystal methamphetamine. I used a Marquis reagent field test, and it indicated the presence of methamphetamine.
So you indicated we've got the drug paraphernalia, the suspected drugs. There's some cleaning products, the Jimmy Choo bag. Did you indicate that there was a chain located in this photograph as well?
It's hard to see, probably from a distance, but underneath the tipped over shell bottle on the right side of the dresser, there is like a dog's choker chain underneath it.
And Exhibit 32, is that now displayed on the screen?
It is.
And what's shown in Exhibit 32?
That is a close-up. It's a photograph of a close-up of the choker chain that was underneath that shell bottle with a placard for reference.
Yeah. Are there also, what's on the far left of that picture on the bottom?
See a pair of sunglasses, or a pair of glasses.
And that chain was collected subsequently by the Green Bay Police Department?
It was.
And Exhibit 33. What is depicted in Exhibit, or is 33 now displayed on the screen?
It is.
And what's depicted in Exhibit 33?
This would be the same choker chain presented out on a clean piece of brown paper for display for photographing.
And that item was collected, you indicated, by the Green Bay Police Department?
It was.
Detective, I'm showing you what's been previously marked as Exhibit 8. Do you know what that is?
This is an evidence bag that is marked as Exhibit 8. That is initialed, and it has a Green Bay Police evidence code sticker to reference the dog choker collar chain we've just discussed.
Okay. So the bag itself has a description. Does it also list an evidence number that was associated with it?
It does.
And what is that?
The description is a silver dog choke collar P chain located under shell bottle, Exhibit 13 on TV. That's all it displays. I know that it says on TV stand. It has a case number of this case, and then it has the exhibit number 543024.
Okay. And did you say 13 or 23?
It's referring to Exhibit 23, and then it has our category number as well.
Okay, and the Exhibit 23, does that coincide with the placard?
It does.
Okay. I would ask that you open that if you could, and display it for the jury. Thank you. I'll give you a moment to put it back up and seal it up. And to save time, I'll not ask you about the other evidence, but or the other chain that was located. But was there, in fact, a second chain located on scene?
There was.
And did you have a chance to handle that item as well, or view it closely?
I viewed it closely, and then forensic specialist Andre and Chernesky collected it.
And did that chain appear to be substantially similar to the one that you just opened and located?
It appears to be a very similar choker collar chain. I did notice that the second chain, which was on the pub table next to the Pac-Man game, the chain was actually not loose on both ends. It was actually closed shut, looped through.
It's Exhibit 34 now displayed on the screen.
It is.
And what is depicted in that photograph?
It's kind of a top-down view of the Jimmy Choo bag and the other items on that entertainment center.
And you indicated human remains were found in that bag?
They were.
Do you know what other items were found in that bag?
Yeah, when Dr. Tranquita arrived, he took the bag down onto the floor. He removed a bunch of plastic bags, like shopping bags, numerous plastic shopping bags. Also in that bag was human remains, small pieces of human remains, and then there was like a red stain, which appeared to be blood-stained Lysol wipes. They look just like the Lysol wipes that you saw on the container on the shelf. And then there were 3 kitchen knives that appeared to match the same block from the upstairs kitchen in that bag.
Then Detective, Exhibit 36, if you could pull that one out.
I have it.
Is that now depicted on the screen in short order?
It is.
And what is contained in Exhibit 36?
So that is the loose paper shopping bags that were packed inside the Jimmy Choo bag, along with what appear to be wipes that are red stained.
So this is what was
removed from the Jimmy Choo bag.
Thank you. This was removed from the Jimmy Choo bag after the human remains were taken out by the doctor?
The human remains were commingled inside these bags, so the doctor would reach in, take out either the remains or the bags, and he was collecting the bags and the wipes, and then he was also collecting the remains separately.
Okay. So he would take the remains and then leave the bag and the wipes for you to take?
That's correct.
Objection leading.
Overruled.
And Exhibit 37, is that now on the screen?
It is.
What is depicted?
It's one of the knives in the Jimmy Choo bag. It appears to be a bread knife out of the kitchen block.
Were you able to make any specific observations about that knife?
I mean, the obvious observation was the red tissue and staining on the handle and on the blade. One thing I particularly noticed was for a serrated bread knife that the sharp pointed part of the knife were virtually ground down, dulled, if you will.
Okay. So that is a knife that was serrated, is that correct?
Yes.
And what do you mean by ground down?
Being familiar with a bread knife, you know, it's a large serrated knife to cut bread, and it's the pointy ends are shallowed, more flattened, dulled.
And Exhibit 38.
I have it.
And is it now depicted on the screen?
It is.
What is shown in that photograph?
So that appears to me, these two knives were taken out of the Jimmy Choo bag. It appears to be what I would describe as a kitchen paring knife. The blade appears bent, and then there is what appears to be like a kitchen steak knife out of the block with the tip busted off. The handles are stained red, and there's some dried red material on the blade as well.
I'm going to very briefly jump ahead, but as part of your work on this case, did you attend the autopsy in this case?
I did.
And do you know if any evidentiary items were collected from the autopsy that you observed that were consistent with these knives?
Yes.
And what is that?
One specific thing that was collected by the doctor was a metal tip taken out.
That
the remains.
And based on, did you get a chance to observe that?
I don't recall specifically observing it, but he described it as consistent with this.
Okay. Dr. Tranquito was present on the scene when you collected these knives as well, is that right?
He was.
And then Exhibit 39. Is that now depicted on the screen?
It is.
And what is shown in that photograph?
That's showing the three knives set down for display for a photo after they're taken out of the Jimmy Choo bag. It actually appears to be the opposite sides of them, of the knives.
Does also accurately depict the scene as you observed it on February 23rd?
They do.
I'd like Permission to publish, Your Honor.
I've seen exhibits 40 through 42, showed those to my client. I've showed all these pictures to my client. We're not going to object to those exhibits and no objection to publication.
Right, you can go ahead and publish them.
And Detective, what is Exhibit 40 now on the screen?
Yes.
And what does 40 depict?
40 is a photo of the north end of the finished basement. If you're standing with your back to where the bed was in the room, it depicts what I would describe as like a pub table with the arcade game. There is a choker chain on top of the pub table.
Then Detective, Exhibit 42, is that now on the screen?
It is.
And what is depicted in Exhibit 42?
This is that pub chain placed on a paper bag and measured for display for the photograph.
And is that was that item also collected by Green Bay Police Department?
It was.
That's the chain that you described earlier as being consistent with the chain that was shown to the jury?
Yes.
Those also accurately depict the scene as you observed it on February 23rd, 2022?
They do.
And permission to publish, Your Honor.
You may.
Is Exhibit 43 now on the screen, Detective?
It is.
And what is depicted in that exhibit?
This would be the west end of the bed that's closer to the wall. On the bed you can see the pillow, and there's a multicolored comforter. It's red, white, and tan. There is what we refer to as container 4. It's the kind of a top-down look at the light blue tote with items on top of it that conceal what's underneath it.
And is there any potential or suspected blood staining depicted in this photograph?
Yes, you can see what appears to be red staining, which appears to be blood. On the left side of the red, white, and I believe it's blue comforter. There's some red staining that appears in front of the pillow, and then some down lower. There's what appear to be blood drops.
And Exhibit 44, is that now depicted on the screen?
It is.
What is shown in Exhibit 44?
That is essentially a top-down view of what we refer to as container 4. It's the light blue tote. I had added that there, if you look to the left of it, there's a brown paper laid on the ground. And the purpose of that was to start to remove the items on top and then place them on the brown piece of paper to later examine, so that we weren't moving them to the floor.
Okay. So the items that are on top of the tote, does this photo depict them as they were when you arrived on scene?
Yes.
And then the item to the left, the brown paper that's placed on the floor, that's something you added?
Yeah, I placed that for the purpose of removing those items to the paper covering the floor so we could look at them later.
Okay. Exhibit 45, is that now depicted on the screen?
It is.
And what is shown in Exhibit 45?
That is showing the blue tote that we've been discussing, some red material on the front, and then that is, I guess, a very limited view of the remains that are inside the container.
Is it fair to say that a substantial amount of human remains were recovered from the inside of the tote?
Yes.
Exhibit 46, is that now displayed on the screen?
It is.
And what is depicted in Exhibit 46?
We moved the multicolored comforter and observed a cellular phone, and then some larger areas of what appeared to be blood staining.
In Exhibit 47, is that now depicted on the screen?
It is.
And what is shown in that photograph?
It is showing the items that were on the bed moved to the left and exposing what appeared to be a larger area of red staining that appears to be blood. The cell phone is still there, but we placed a placard to memorialize that exhibit number for later collection.
Detective Scanlon, were efforts made to try to determine whether or not any of the suspected blood material seeped through that mattress?
Yes.
And what was done?
I later took a box cutter and I cut a portion of the top of the mattress to see how far the blood seeped into the mattress.
Do you know about how far it did?
When I cut it open, under the top mattress, there's like a foam underlayment. The blood seeped where I cut a little over maybe an inch or so into the mattress.
Where the mattress, was that top mattress, if I recall correctly, it looks like there's one mattress and two box springs, is that right?
That's correct.
And did you lift up the first mattress to see whether blood had soaked through the bottom of that mattress?
We did.
And did you observe any blood having soaked through that top mattress?
I didn't observe any blood in the box spring below it, no. Below that stain, no.
Your Honor, I've shown my client exhibits 48 through 54, no objection. Also exhibit 63, no objection. I know they're already offered, but no objection to publication.
Detective Scanlon, I'm showing you exhibits 48 through 54 and exhibit 63. If you could review those.
Thank you.
And Detective, do those likewise accurately depict what you observed at the Stony Brook residence on February 23rd of 2022?
They do.
And permission to publish, Your Honor.
You may publish.
Exhibit 48. Is that now depicted on the screen?
It is.
What is shown in that photograph?
There is a upright cabinet, the wood grain cabinet, against the west wall. That's covered initially by, I think that's a bed frame. It also shows the blue tote and then one of the knives. Actually, the knife that was, I believe that's the knife that was pulled out of the blue tote.
Was there anything, I apologize, was there anything subsequently located in that cabinet?
Yes.
And what was that?
We had received information from Detective Graff and Detective Kemp to look in the cabinet specifically for a wood box. Once this cabinet door was opened, there was a wood box on the bottom level of the cabinet door inside that. And then we found a flesh-colored dildo inside that box.
Exhibit 49. Is that now depicted on the screen?
It is.
And what's shown in that photograph?
That is the photograph that's depicting primarily that wood box that had been opened and then the flesh-colored dildo.
Exhibit 50. And what is shown in photograph 50?
Exhibit 50 is it's taking a picture from the bottom of the stairs into the unfinished portion of the basement on the east side of the home.
And does that depict a stand-up shower?
It does.
And exhibit 51, is that now on the screen?
It is.
What is shown in Exhibit 51?
It's an overview of the floor drain and lower portion of the stand-up shower.
And what was of evidentiary significance to you in this particular area?
When we looked at the shower, we observed red substance on the shower walls, the shower seat, the shower floor. There was some red substance and some flesh material on the shower drain and then also on the floor drain. Slightly behind that curtain, there's a blue squeegee that had red substance that we've been able to determine was involved.
And were you able to observe where the shower drain drained into?
Yeah, at first it's not readily observable, but when we remove the top of the cover and examine the drain actually, there's a pipe that runs straight out from underneath the tub and stops shallow to have the water go right into the floor drain.
And Exhibit 52, is that now on the screen?
It is.
And what is shown in Exhibit 52?
It's a close-up of that floor drain that's right in front of the shower. There's some red staining, and there's some hair, and then there's what appears to be flesh or biological material, I guess.
And Exhibit 53. Is that now on the screen?
It is.
And what does it depict?
That depicts the stand-up shower with the curtain pushed aside. There's some what appears to be blood staining, some red drying on the bottom right, and then the squeegee, and your standard shower stuff.
And Exhibit 54. Is that now on the screen?
It is.
And what does it depict?
It's a photograph of the shower drain with some flesh or biological material caught on the drain.
And you have Exhibit 64 in front of you?
54, yes.
Okay. That's 54. Do you have Exhibit 64 as well?
Oh, I'm sorry. 64? Did I hear you right?
Is it 63?
Oh, I'm sorry, it's 63.
I have 63.
I apologize. Yeah. Thank you. While we pull that up, what is depicted in Exhibit 63?
It's a photograph of the concrete floor at the end of the carpeting. The bed had been previously moved. You can see it standing up off the side. And what is visible in this photo is that there is red substance. There's also what I've recognized as like swipe marks, almost cleaning marks, swipes in the red material, loops. In the bottom right, there's a measurement. It appears to be a portion of a shoe print that was previously under the bed. And it was exposed by moving the bed.
Okay. And who moved the bed?
I did.
You know why you made the decision to look under the bed?
I was just surprised by the lack of blood on the carpeting. And so having the bed covering part of the concrete floor, I wanted to move it to see what was underneath it. And then it appeared to me to be wiped up red substance underneath the bed.
Before I ask you about them specifically, I have to lay a little foundation. In addition to collecting evidence on the scene that day at the Stony Brook residence, did it become apparent that you maybe did not have all of the body parts that you needed to complete human remains?
It did.
And at some point, did you leave the Stony Brook residence and go to another location to look for more remains?
We did.
And where did you go?
We went to our Green Bay Police evidence storage garage, where we had a Chrysler minivan transported for processing subsequent to a search warrant.
Had you been made aware that other detectives developed information that would suggest there may be human remains in that vehicle?
I was.
Do you know if that came from the interview?
I'm not sure. I knew that we had caused to obtain a search warrant to search that vehicle for remains. So being at the scene and knowing what we were still looking for, myself, Detective Pacula, Dr. Tranquita, and medical investigator Petra Schwab left to go there and look.
And did you then conduct or assist in the conducting of the search of the vehicle at the Green Bay storage?
I was present when the vehicle was opened and searched, and I made observations to confirm that we had recovered all the remains, but I didn't personally search that vehicle, but I observed these exhibits.
Is it fair to say the search was done by the medical examiner's office and the forensics team from Green Bay PD?
The recovery of the remains was from the forensic doctor and the other members of the Green Bay Police Department and their forensic specialists searched the vehicle.
Your Honor, I would then ask for permission to publish exhibits. I think these are 55 and 56. Detective Scanlon, is Exhibit 55 now shown on the screen?
It is.
And what is that photo display?
That photo is a photograph into the driver's side sliding back door of the minivan, particularly the crock pot box, which we shortly thereafter found remains in.
And Exhibit 56, is that now up on the screen?
It is.
And what is depicted in Exhibit 56?
The crock pot box was turned upright. The opening, there's a flesh-colored material that's a thigh, and then there's I believe it's a pair of shorts over the top of it, and then there's additional remains underneath that thigh.
Okay. And did the material? Did you make any specific observations about what the human remains looked like when they were removed from that crock pot box?
Yes, Dr. Tranquita emptied the remains out of that crock pot box, and he itemized them to confirm that we had then what he believed as the doctor was the entirety of the remains.
Then Detective Scanlon, I asked this earlier, but did you subsequently attend the autopsy of Shadtherian?
I did.
And where was that?
At the Dane County Medical Examiner's office down by Madison.
And when did that take place?
On the 25th, I believe.
And who was present for the autopsy?
Myself and Detective Graff attended the autopsy from an observation room. Dr. Tranquita and I believe medical technician Vickerman attended the autopsy.
What is the purpose of a law enforcement officer attending an autopsy?
It's not uncommon at an autopsy for a forensic pathologist or the attending doctor to have questions about the scene. They can also relate to us through speakerphone, things that they're observing, and answer any questions that we might have if we have questions for them in regards to our investigation. It's also an opportunity for, once the autopsy is completed, with the medical examiner's office then collects what they and we believe to be items of evidentiary value. They had, up until that point, had custody of the remains. They take those items and they seal them in bags, and then they turn them over us to collect for continued investigation in the law enforcement. Things like swabs of the body or items that they found to be evidentiary value, they'll turn over to us, and we bring it back and enter it in evidence.
Based on your observation of the autopsy, did it appear that Dr. Tranquita was regularly collecting swabs for evidentiary purposes?
He was.
And did you observe him seal those items and provide them to you?
He did. As he was doing the autopsy, he was swabbing parts of the remains. He would then put them in a cardboard box, I'm up in an observation room, so I don't see every movement he does. But he then collects them, he itemizes them, he puts them into a sealed bag that is documented with a receipt, an invoice, if you will, to show what he turned over to me. And then I took those bags with Detective Graff, transported them back to the Green Bay Police Department, and then started to secure them in evidence.
So, just to clarify specifically with respect to the swabs, you observed him take swabs of Shadtherian's body. He packaged them for you and sealed them, and then provided them to you to take back to the Green Bay Police Department?
Yes, during the autopsy, I observed him take all parts of the remains out of the containers. He would examine them as part of the autopsy. He would take swabs as part of the autopsy. He would then collect them in swab containers, and then turn over to me all the swabs which were then labeled and then secured in an evidence bag that he had signed and sealed. So then after I collected that back, then I opened that bag, and there was over 40 swabs. I don't remember the exact number, but they're all itemized as what particularly was swabbed, and then I entered them into evidence specifically for the purpose of future need to send to a crime lab.
And then when you entered them into evidence, you entered them specifically based on what that swab was or how it was labeled on the outside?
Correct. The doctor takes so many swabs, if we would if we would just send the bag to the crime lab with 40-some swabs in it, that would not meet their submission guidelines. So we have to itemize those swabs. So if he takes a swab of a particular part of the body, puts it in a box, labels what that was swabbed, collects those collectively, bags them, turns them over to us. We then open that bag, and then we itemize and enter into evidence each individual swab.
And that's the process that you followed in this case?
Yes.
I have no further questions of the witness at this time, Your Honor. I apologize. This went longer than I had anticipated.
약물을 하지 않았다고 했지만 현장에서는 메스 암페타민을 복용하였을 것으로 미뤄볼 수 있는 도구들까지 발견되었습니다. 그녀가 약물을 하지 않았다고 진술한 부분은 완전한 거짓말이라 생각할 수 있죠. 그런데 이 증거물들을 보면서 여러분께서 느낀 점이 있으실 겁니다. 시신을 숨기는 곳을 전혀 고려하지 않았다는 점이죠. 세상에 어떤 살인범이 지미추 가방에 절단된 유해를 아무렇게나 담아놓을 수 있을까요? 당시 상황을 미뤄본다면 이렇게 생각해볼 수 있겠네요. 절단을 하다가 조금 많아지니까 어디 담긴 해야겠는데 주변에 보이는 게 지미추 가방이랑 그냥 백팩, 김치통 비슷한 이런 것들이었고 아무런 생각 없이 거기다가 마구 담아놓은 것이죠. 마약을 한 상태였으니 충분히 이럴 수 있다고 생각은 되지만 정말로 충격적인 행동이 아닐 수가 없습니다. 그리고 이것만큼 충격적인 것은 절단할 때 사용된 도구가 브레드 나이프와 스테이크 손질용 나이프였다는 점입니다. 빵을 자를 때 쓰는 브레드 나이프를 써보신 분들은 아시겠지만 이것으로 그런 범행을 저질렀다고 생각해본다면 정말 어마어마한 시간이 들었을 것으로 예상해 볼 수 있습니다. 그럼 이렇게 수집된 유해들로 밀어본 시신의 상태는 어떠했는지 부검을 담당한 빈센트 트랭키타 검시관의 증언을 들어보겠습니다.
Exhibit 79 is a copy of my autopsy notes and diagrams that I generated on this case. It includes head and neck diagrams. It includes diagrams of the entire body and diagrams of the skeletal system as well. This is the front page of what's referred to as my autopsy notes. And this allows me a front and back view of the body to depict findings. Also, a spot at the top where I can enter the general demographic features. In other words, weight of the body as it's recovered, approximated age, frame, hair color, eye color, what's the state of the postmortem changes, such as rigor mortis or livor mortis. And then with the front and back diagrams, I'm able to show sort of general findings. In this case, because there were so many sharp force injuries and injuries of the head and neck, I saved them for separate diagrams, and this is more for general findings. The most relevant ones that I want to kind of emphasize on is there is marked congestion of the head and neck, but the rest of the body is relatively pale. There were some contusions or blunt force trauma injuries of the remainder of the body. There was a contusion on the upper aspect of the left side of the chest, a contusion on the upper aspect of the right side of the chest. There were abrasions of the right upper extremity, There was a contusion or bruise of the anterior aspect of the right knee, and there was a collapsed blister on the left heel. He also had a gray metal ring that was present on the little finger of the left hand.
Doctor, on the screen, are we now showing page 2 of Exhibit 79?
Yes, we are.
Specifically, I draw your attention to the top right-hand corner of that. There's a depiction or a drawing. What is that?
In the top right-hand drawing is a depiction of the surface of the decedent's tongue. With my crude art skills, I apologize. But I'm depicting where the arc-like abrasions are present on the tongue, and that's at the tip, those curvilinear interrupted abrasions. There was a contusion of the right side of the tip of the tongue, or bruise, and then on the back and middle aspect of the right side of the tongue, there were two parallel, very patterned, very regular indentation rows consistent with a potential ligature being pressed against the neck. Being pressed against the tongue.
Doctor, based on your prior experience with strangulation cases, is that something that is typically seen or ordinarily seen where there's a potential ligature strangulation, that you may see ligature marks not only on the neck but also on other parts of the body?
Yes, it occurs when the ligature shifts during the assault. If the ligature shifts, often the victim or the decedent will try to get their chin underneath the ligature. I can sometimes see injuries across the chin, across the lower lip, or inside the mouth as the ligature is shifting in position before it's placed again on the neck.
Doctor, you mentioned that you were present on scene and had the opportunity to observe two metal dog chains that were collected by law enforcement. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And did you note any consistency between those chains that were collected and the marks that you observed on Chad Therian's body?
Yes, I did.
And what was that?
When I'm observing injuries or trying to interpret injuries, I am looking for patterns. Anything that I can use to convey to an investigator, hey, you may want to look for this at the scene. In this case, we had very organized, repeating, interrupted indentations on the surface of the tongue, very evenly spaced apart. This would not be inconsistent with the pattern of a chain and the chain links as they twist, leaving separate corner impressions on the surface of the tongue.
Doctor, does the screen now depict the third page of Exhibit 79?
Yes, it does.
And could you describe for the jury the significance of these particular diagrams?
Because there were so many findings, I separated out the head and neck diagrams to a separate diagram. This diagram depicts multiple different views of the decedent's head and neck. Similar to the photograph, we can see that there is congestion of the head above the level of decapitation. In other words, there's purplish discoloration or cyanosis or plethory of the upper aspect of the neck and head, consistent with congestion. On the right side of the decedent's face and nose is an abrasion. There are contusions at the left temple, just above the ear, and at the right temple, just above the ear as well, or bruises. Once I dissected down the neck, I found hemorrhages of the muscles of the neck on the left side and right side of the neck. I also found sharp force injuries of the outer aspect of the left eyebrow and outer aspect of the left upper eyelid, and then also on the left side of the tip of the nose. I believe that these are also post-mortem artifact because they're non-hemorrhagic, there's no redness, there's no swelling. This is consistent with cutting a body that's already been dead. Across the neck, I am depicting the point of decapitation of the decedent. This was roughly at the level of cervical vertebra C5, C6. We have about 7 cervical vertebrae, so it's just above the base of the neck, where we have complete decapitation. In other words, it's going completely through the neck, and the head is separate from the remainder of the body. There are also a number of sharp force injuries above and below the level of decapitation, consistent with multiple cuts attempted as the person is trying to get through the neck.
Now, Doctor, does the screen show what is page 4 of Exhibit 79?
Yes, it does.
I don't think I will ask you to describe every injury that's denoted on this particular diagram, as we would be here a while, but could you describe generally what is depicted in this diagram?
Of course. This is a front and back view of the decedent's body, where I'm attempting to show the points of dismemberment as well as points of sharp force injury that are present. The contusions I've also included here to try to show where they are, or bruises and abrasions, but for the most part I want to focus on the sharp force trauma. In particular, in this case, we have the head has been decapitated at the level of the lower neck. The back has been largely flayed and defleshed. In other words, the skin of the back has been removed. Also, the muscles of the back have been removed so that we have exposed rib cage and spine. The torso, so extending from about the neck to the groin, has been bisected or cut in half at the level of the lumbar vertebra or the vertebra of the lower spine, so that we have access to the inside of the torso, both the pelvis and the upper aspect of the chest and abdomen. We have attempted amputations at the level of the right shoulder and right elbow. We have numerous cuts and stab wounds of the extremities. When we get to the abdomen and thighs, we have areas of skin removal where flaps of skin have been removed. Where we get to the right thigh, all of the soft tissue has been removed, so we're down to the bone. In other words, all we have is exposed femur for the length of the femur. When we get to the lower extremities, the left lower extremity has been amputated to the level of the knee. The kneecap or patella was recovered separately. We have another amputation from the knee to the level of the ankle, and the left foot was recovered from within the left chest cavity, placed within there. At the right lower extremity, we have, again, the femur, which has been largely defleshed, but I was able to reapproximate the pieces of muscle and pieces of skin to recreate what was there. And then we had the right knee to the right foot still intact.
Doctor, based on your training and experience, what kind of amount of time would be necessary in order to create this sort of disruption to a body?
Objection, speculation.
Overruled.
Foundation.
Overruled. It is my medical opinion that this would be quite a few hours. We have decapitation, we have dismemberment, we have transection of the torso. Subsequently, internally, the body has been eviscerated. In other words, we have entered inside the body through various cuts, both at the abdomen and between the ribs, where the victim's organs have been removed, largely one by one. We have castration of the decedent. The decedent has been castrated as well. We have cutting or sawing through chop mark injuries of the bones. It is my medical opinion that this would have taken quite a great deal of time.
이제는 끔찍하다는 표현으로도 이 사건을 표현하기 힘들 것 같습니다. 이렇게 피고 측 변호사인 프렐릭은 이러한 정신나간 범행을 저지른 자신의 의뢰인이 조울증, 정신분열증과 같은 정신병으로 인해 저지른 것이라며 무죄를 주장하였습니다. 이 재판에 증인으로 참석하였던 정신과 전문의는 그녀의 상태가 조울증이나 정신분열증과 같은 정신질환이 엿보이긴 하나 그 정신질환이 이런 심각한 범죄로 이어지긴 힘들다는 증언을 하였습니다. 게다가 원고 측 증인으로 참석했던 많은 증인들도 그녀의 정신질환은 본인이 필요할 때만 나오는 일종의 선택적 정신질환인 것 같다는 증언을 하였죠. 한마디로 정신병자인 척하는 사람이라는 의견이었습니다. 이것으로 결국 그녀는 여성 9명, 남성 7명으로 이루어진 16명의 배심원단에 의해 1급 살인 혐의, 시신 훼손 혐의, 3급 성폭행 혐의 모두 유죄로 결정되었습니다. 그리고 약 2달 뒤 열린 선고재판에선 가석방이 없는 종신형이 선고되었습니다. 아마 조금이라도 뉘우치는 모습이 보였다면 괜찮았겠지만 재판 중간중간에 보여지는 비웃는 모습은 배심원단의 분노를 살 수밖에 없었고 결국 이런 결정이 내려질 수밖에 없었습니다. 자신의 남자친구를 잔인하게 살해하는 것도 모자라 사후 모욕까지 한 테일러 샤비즈니스 살인 사건. 흥미롭게 보셨다면 좋아요와 구독을 눌러주시면 좋겠네요. 저는 쇼킹TV 톰슨이었습니다. 감사합니다.